I have Divya can unmute and speak. I can make her the co-host. Chitra, you can get started.
Can you hear me now? Thank you.
Yes, Divya.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, so as I mentioned, Priya has actually set the ball rolling, and we are just going to pick up points from there, and we are going to, hear from some stalwart women in this particular field. That's what I would say. So just to introduce the panelists, we have Archana Mendon. She is a cybersecurity evangelist and security operations center lead has over 14 plus years of experience in cybersecurity domain. She's a certified chief information security officer. Last 9 years, she's been helping CISCO secure its digital assets, users, and network from cybersecurity threats at CISCO CSIRT team. She's also a member of cybersecurity SIG group for NASCOM. I think Priya did mention that. And Future Skills that aims at supporting growth and building cybersecurity skills for India. She is leading the Civics India's chapter, that is CISCO Women in Cybersecurity, which aims at building a cybersecurity community at CISCO and beyond. Additionally, she's also a mentor for Women in Cybersecurity and Privacy, which is a non-profit community launched to raise cybersecurity awareness among women in India. She has also spoken in quite a few international forums as well. Welcome, Archana, to this panel.
Yeah, thanks, Chitra.
Yeah. Now we have Sailaja, another panelist, Sailaja Vadlamudi. She's a mentor, author, researcher, security strategist, and global advisory member. Handpicked by SAP Labs, India's first application security lead, and she's also a senior director of security and data privacy. She has over 18 years of experience. She drives security strategy for India location and works towards building security culture in the region and responsible for all leading security initiatives. She's a noted speaker in various forums. She founded the non-profit Women in Cybersecurity and Privacy, aiming to sensitize girls and women on cybersecurity awareness among women, young girls and children, to alert them of digital threats and upskill them. Prepare thought leaders for the next generation to shift the paradigm and add more diversity into these domains. I think this speaks more about the credentials, yet let me add the credentials: seasoned Certified Information Security Manager, CDPSC, Certified Data Privacy Security Engineer, and SAP Certified Threat Modeling Expert. She is on various global advisories and committees, Cyberex Global Advisory, BIS, the Bureau of Indian Standards Panel for IoT Security and Privacy, EC Council Case Global Advisory, NASCOM member of Special Interest Group, Cloud Security Alliance. I think the list goes on, but our time doesn't permit. Quite a few of our accolades. She's had top 20 Indian women influencers in security 2020, Women of Excellence, Cybersecurity Ambassador, and so on. I leave it there. So that's about Sailaja. Welcome, Sailaja, to the panel.
Thank you, Chitra. Thank you.
Yeah. And we have Divya Pradeep. While they all have been also into skilling and all that, we have Divya, who is actually now, her hands into core cybersecurity. She's a self-motivated and skilled professional with over 12 plus years of experience in managing multifunctional domains ranging from customer service operations to security governance team. She works for Capgemini. She is a lead security communications and security training for various regions. She's a postgraduate in computer applications, acquired SANS GSEC certification on security, PCI DSS certificate, currently pursuing a security master's certificate and CASSP to enhance her security expertise. She is basically a specialist in risk management and security governance, vulnerability management, security and process trainer. Her skills and competencies have been vulnerability management, client stakeholder management, risk and security audit license, KPI and KRI governance and reporting, PCI DSS audits, security training, and so on. So, welcome Divya to this panel.
Thank you, Chitra.
Yeah, I think this panel, we can't have better people than what we have today, because most of them are evangelists, most of them are into security, and they are spreading the word on cybersecurity. They're trying to bring in women more into that. So our topic being women in cybersecurity, diffidence or dearth. Well, we coined this topic mainly because we did see quite a few pointers, as Priya was mentioning. Cybersecurity area is actually growing leaps and bounds, but we see that there is a massive labor shortage. And apart from a labor shortage, we do see that women in cybersecurity represent a very low percentage. As Priya shared with us, it was 11% a few years back, and today it is about 24%. But the demand for cybersecurity professionals is really on the increase, mainly because every organization, most of the organizations are completely reliant on technology today. And of course, cybersecurity issues are becoming more and more, security professionals are therefore more sought after. With the increase in cybercrime, both in scale and in sophistication. So in scale, yes, we need volume. In sophistication, we need more technology and expertise into handling such cybercrimes. So when we have this being the position, what is actually the reason that we have low percentage of women into this particular domain? So when you look at the topic, is there a diffidence among women? Are we really worried to take up this particular career, this particular domain? If so, why and what? I leave it to the panelist. Archana, could you please take it?
Okay, sure, Chitra. So that's nice. There's a nice question. Is there a diffidence? I think, in my opinion, I would not say there is a diffidence. That's the reason why women are not there in the cybersecurity, because I think we were listening to Priya's talk, right? Somewhere the numbers have got increased from 11% to 24%. So that itself shows that people are converting a lot into the cybersecurity field, right? So on a positive note, yes, there is a gradual increase. But probably if we have to ask that question, is that enough? Numbers is definitely not enough. When we talk about gender diversity, because we have been talking a lot in organization about diversity and inclusion, and exclusively around that, the topic about gender diversity, the numbers of women still have to reach that bar when we, in comparison with whatever we kind of set, organization to organization. So is that number enough? I would say definitely no. So one thought which comes to me, why? Because you asked me the question, why there are less women, right? So it's tough to answer in a way, because it again depends on women to women of how they have been, looking at this field. But one thing which I have personally kind of experienced, because when I do a lot of sessions, especially I want to focus on the early careers one, who kind of, I think they are the highest number of people who they're the hub. I would say they're the hub if we have to really convert this massive numbers. So the people who are early in careers, definitely from the universities or somebody who is already existing into the organization in some other sector, and I would like to see that in the cybersecurity field. Moment we tell them, at least for these students, that's the largest hub which I want to target, and that's my passion. When I talk to them, today I'm going to talk about the cybersecurity. I ask them, what do you think about cybersecurity? I do not know what answers you would receive, but most of the time I receive the answer is like, okay, it's about hacking. No, that's the notion that most of the people have that in the mindset. So I said yes, of course, because when I have to talk about cybersecurity, we first introduce that the bigger umbrella, the cyber threats, the hackers. We use these terminology, so automatically the mindset goes to them like, okay, this is some a lady coming and talking about hacking. Probably she's one expert in hacker. So I said, is that all you think it's about hacker? Of course, another thing which perspective goes into these mindset is usually people think, the women think it's a technical kind of oriented work. So I think that's something we will have to break that bar in terms of letting women know the visibility in the career roadmap. I think that's something that we all have to bring in as part of our awareness, because a lot of time people are not, because I keep hearing from the people saying that I'm a programmer, I'm a kind of data analytics, how do I kind of enter into this field? So I think as part of evangelist, one of my tasks is to give them the career roadmap, the visibility of how the roles look like, because there are so many roles, as Priya was introducing this. It's just not about the SOC analyst or the data privacy. We do have a lot of auditors, we have forensics department, we do have compliance audit, and you name it, anything. So I think that's something that I want to bring that as an awareness, Chitra.
Yeah, thank you, Archana. Sailaja, would you like to take this question? Is there a difference? I think Archana has told us that there is no difference actually, but there is just the dearth, and probably the young mind has to come forward. So,
yes,
what's your point?
So,
yes.
yeah, to add my 2 cents to this, right, as Archana rightly mentioned, most of the time the picture was so painted, cybersecurity is all about hacking and the people with the masks and all ransoms and all of that. We always receive such questions from the students because not necessarily all of them are inclined towards technicalities and all of that. For sure, we have a lot of things coming up like privacy and security audits and compliance and many more things, which having technical skill is an advantage, but even the process oriented mindset will also be fitting there. So we also have to showcase and project these roles as well. People can really come and pick it up. And one more thing, people are really reluctant to pick into the jobs is because we see this fatigue, right? During COVID, when people are getting burned out, people are working long hours, people are doing that and this, we only see or get to hear the challenging aspects of it all the time rather than terming it as a negative aspect, right? So this happens in any role, not just only in the cybersecurity role. And people have to really understand that. And it's our responsibility to ensure the kind of message we're communicating to the next generations. And at the same time, one more reason I should also say why less women, because there are not many more women who are standing out there as role models or standing out there or sharing their experiences. I think all of us should be doing it more often because most of the times women think the problems are very personal to her. They don't think each and everybody is undergoing the same. All of us have to go through almost the same journey, and we always sail neatly and coolly towards the end. So these are the things we really have to put forward to our upcoming generation, especially students, because India having the largest, youngest population for the entire universe, I have to say. So we have to really boost that confidence and showcase and show them the roadmaps and have some successful women over there sharing their stories and also the challenges, because we always have to paint the total picture of it. Then it will be, with all of this, I think students will definitely gain some confidence.
Thank you, Sailaja. So now I take the question to one of the role models who has been into cybersecurity, is really working there. Divya, your points on this.
Thank you, Chitra. I have to admit that I'm seeing the disadvantage of being the third panelist in such a distinguished presence because they've taken away all the really good points. They're absolutely right, bang on, in fact. From work perspective, what I see, there are fundamental reasons that I could see this being a bit of a challenging field for where as far as young women are concerned. One is basically there is a societal bias. There is a feeling that cybersecurity is a field played predominantly by men, and perhaps not really the right place for women. It could be 24 hours work environment, and there might not be boundaries in terms of personal life balance and all of that. But from personal experience, I can tell you that IT and cybersecurity actually gives you a lot of flexibility. You have that work from home benefits. You have the ability to upskill yourself with a lot of technologies coming up. I don't believe that should be a deterrent anymore. I personally feel that cybersecurity is definitely not for the faint-hearted, and that's even more reason why there should be more lionesses in this playing field. So I think it's a very good place to be, and I think women need to realize that. And one point I would love to say, which Sailaja has already touched upon, is the presence of female role models. There's some amazing women out there. I just heard some of them speak right now, and the more and more they come out and they are in these forums and they're doing these mentorship programs, I think it's going to be huge for young women to kind of take this as an inspiration and come into this field. So yeah, that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Divya. So from our discussion just now, what emerged is actually, women do have some kind of hesitation in getting into this particular domain, probably because they think it is a male society, a male-dominated field or whatever it is. But at the same time, do they actually perceive a glass ceiling in this domain? Maybe an invisible barrier that prevents the women from being promoted to managerial and senior positions, executive level positions within the organization. Is there one, or is it just a perception? Now, I want to give Divya the first choice so that she doesn't feel left out. Yes, Divya, please.
Thank you, Chitra. So I do believe that this is a purely case-to-case basis. There is a general perception, yes, but I think it's not something that can be generalized. And I would like to take my personal experience here. I've worked with some brilliant managers, who have constantly been challenging me to take on more roles, to take on more responsibilities, to actually come up the managerial ladder, so to speak. So I can't say that I can generalize this and say there is a glass ceiling, but I also at the same time do see that there is a fear from a reliability perspective. There's a feeling, again, a perception in the managerial circles, I think, that women might should I say prioritize personal options a little more, because of which we might not be seen as the reliable candidate for senior positions and things like that. But I think very honestly, these perceptions are being broken, literally shattered to pieces by the women folk out there, and we continue to do that, I think, on a day-to-day basis. And I'm pretty sure if there is this perception, which is there, I shouldn't deny, it will soon go away with just the sheer number of women who need to be entering this field, and the kind of reliability we already form and the kind of trust we already build. I think this perception will be broken very soon.
But to add to my question, Divya, is it that the board perceives that this profession is a male-dominated profession? I mean to say by board, I mean the senior management at the governance level. Do they perceive that there's a glass ceiling for women?
I think yes, there is, to some extent, there is a glass ceiling for women. I think that is, as much as we would personally, we might not see it all the time, but I'm pretty sure when you grow up the ladder and you are at very senior positions, that perception becomes a reality for many. So yeah, from a board perception, it is there.
Thank you, Divya. And Archana, what would you like to add here?
Yeah, I think, something similar to what Divya said, but let me say, if there is a glass ceiling at the board level, probably that can be 50-50, because I think now every organizations are coming up with diversity as a concept. So it's very important now we have a single woman at least representing, at the board of directors. So that's good news for all of us. But, because you talked about the glass ceiling, let me quickly, it kind of, switched back my olden days of how I kind of entered into this field. I don't know if that would be interesting, but I thought let me add that story of mine. This is something 14 years or 15 years back when I actually chose cybersecurity as my career. So when 15 years back, I was actually an engineering student, and that too not in computer science, it's for electronics and communication. I do not know how did I enter, but I somehow luckily entered into this security as my startup. But when I did, I was initially a system integrator, basically, somebody who kinds of configures the firewalls and switches. And that role was not something that I was sitting inside my office and doing it. It was a kind of field job. So mostly I kind of, had to go at different customer places. And my first job, to happen to be in Chennai, if I can relate that, because I still remember I had to, office was in Gindi, and we had to travel to Vandalur kind of a thing. So me and my one of the senior women's, we used to drive scooty and we used to go till there. And with all the passion to kind of, okay, this is our first project, let's do with all the enthusiasm thing. The moment we reached at the customer premises, that would be 1 minute pause. It's like, we will be sweating and coming, and 1 minute pause, and we will be just glancing at them, what happened. So I said, oh, okay, you ladies are going to configure things of the firewall. So we used to sit back and think, we have been driving so much and coming, and what is that question that been posed to are you ladies? And this is something 15 years back. I'm not saying this is a scenario still same. The things have got changed, the mindsets have got changed in terms of how women's are bringing up on forefront the thought process and line. But having said that, I never really, I would have thought this as a barrier myself, right? Why everybody is looking at me, at least the males are looking at me, because it happened in a way that most of the, because SOC is where I come from, my expertise. Sometimes I'll be all alone sitting in the room, and there will be nobody around me to talk. So I will sometimes feel myself, why am I sitting alone? There's nobody to give me a company. At times, I was also kind of a little bit shy in between, but then I had to overcome that barrier. And that's the choice as a women that we will have to, each one of us have to break through, because barriers are not just in cybersecurity, it's even in the personal life. If you don't speak up, if you don't stand up in bold and speak, people are not going to listen to you. So I would say that, if you have something as a vision that you want to achieve in your professional life, we will have to speak up. Otherwise, we will be left alone all in the crowd. So that's what is my story, Chitra.
That was a very good point. So we need to speak up. It's true. And Shailaja, would you like to add something?
Yeah, sure. So as now I have to take the turn of Divya telling they have covered it all so well. But then let me just add a few points here. For example, when we look into this glass ceiling aspect, right, I definitely understand everybody has different situations, different scenarios, and different challenges. But then women need a lot of support system, in order to go there, in order to become what she wants. It's not about sympathy at home and office and all that. And for sure, we have really very thin glass ceilings above us. But I also have to tell all of you here, there is also thick one so strongly, which is inside us, which we all don't see it. Because we always see like somebody is holding us back, somebody is not giving us the opportunity and all of that. We all also have to understand we are in this competition, right? So it's also okay to stretch a bit and to open up and speak for yourself, as rightly mentioned by Archana. I can also totally relate, because this was way back when I used to go to my headquarters. Once I was talking to someone who is really an experienced and an elderly person and an expert. And when I was not able to find his team, and then I just find his time, and I just have to, schedule a lunch appointment, and then we both were having lunch at office. And the first statement when I just introduced, and the next statement was like, "What are you here for? Your age is not my experience, And I felt like, totally broken. But then I have to really win. And then I said, for sure, I really understand my age is not your experience, but then I am here to learn from your experience, because I have to drive such challenging topic for our organization, which is also strategic. It really changed the entire dynamics of it. So it is really important for us to speak, also not hurting others, because we don't have to really take it so personal, because when we have to take things forward, we also have to consider that consciously, and we have to speak and put our point on the table. And at the same time, miracles don't happen all the time. And we also have to grab opportunities. Most of the times, men are very vocal in terms of telling the managers, if there is this opportunity, I would like to grab it versus this. Whereas all the time, women think, since I qualify this, my manager should be offering this to me, which is happening most of the times. And I think many of us will also agree to that, be it men or women, but women tend to do it more. And also, for example, if there is a higher management role, and if women sees the job profile, right, we will be only comfortable, or most of us will be comfortable only if we fit 80% of the match. And then if we are not fitting in there, we just even don't bother to apply it, right? And we don't do it. And most of us do it quite often. We just leave it thinking, I'm not still ready. Maybe I have to get skill here. I have to get that skill. So we keep putting things in the balance. And for sure, we also have to do this, and at the same time, we also have to try new things, because the days are gone where people are going to give you the opportunity. You're only women, because we also have to earn it, right? And talking about the skills and the opportunities and the board rooms, right? Nowadays, we also see a lot of posts where during pregnancy, women were given a lot of promotions, and even when women are back to work, I know I don't remember the women and the companies out here, but at least I know so many women immediately after their maternity, they're back to work, and many leaders in the world, they're bringing their children to their parliaments and then participating in in those parliamentary sessions and all of that. There is a lot where bigger way to move forward and to see that there is a broader acceptance starting from board to all levels in the organizations. But at the same time, we all have to understand things don't happen, fall in place for us. So we have to really push our own selves and ensure like we are living in the society, and you know and at least when if I have to say what companies are doing in this perspective, when you talk about glass ceilings and acceptance from the board, right? For example, the current organization I'm representing here, one day I'm sweetly surprised, I just received an email. This email is gone to all the women across the globe inside my organization, and they say about negotiation skills and salary and negotiation skills and all of that. And here in our organization, they are keenly putting a lot of efforts to encourage women to speak up, to ask for salary corrections, and to ask for promotions, and to apply for roles, even if they don't fit into that 100% of the job role that is laid over there. So companies are also doing their part. And everybody, there is also a saying, right? People can only serve you on the plate. In the end, you have to take it and eat. That is what I have to tell the women out there, or every one of us, to really start believing in ourselves and then try out new things.
Yeah, thank you, Sailaja. So my next question spurs from one point that you gave just now. You said there is a feeling among women that women or everybody as a whole, like I don't really fit in 100% into this particular role. So I fit in 80%, I fit in 50%. I mean, that's the feeling. And that could be one of the reasons that people shy away from entering into this particular domain. Like, because is there a requirement for multi-skill sets to get into cybersecurity? Like, am I supposed to know PCI DSS? Am I supposed to know ISO? Am I supposed to know technology laws, cybercrime cases? Vulnerability assessment. Should I understand how a hacker behaves? Is it only then that I can get into this field? Now, this is the fear that, is there a fear like this? Because from your experience, I'm sure you would have seen a lot of people, and you would have probably analyzed as to why people don't really get into this particular domain. So is there a feeling that I'm supposed to know blockchain laws? I'm supposed to know, GDPR, legal compliance and all that? Is this one of the reasons for people not taking up this profession, especially women? Sailaja, your take on this?
Yeah, Chitra, coming to any profession, right? I believe technology is also going at a quantum leap. It's not just at a blink of an eye, things are changing and all of that. For anybody in that matter, right? Be it any technology spectrum, I totally believe in T, right? You have to have your deep expertise in one of the topics, and then you broaden your views. I also keep telling my mentees at my office and other organizations, right? Just a small joke, no offense to anybody. Someone who is so deep in technology and then breaking all of that things together will always kind of get into this architecture. Someone who knows a little bit more and then broadens across will have all the chances to become a CTO of the company, because they know it all. They're kind of jack of arts, or whatever we should say. So having said that, right, it is really, really important for us to have expertise. And also a bigger picture. For example, when we are also talking about why there was a less representation of women, and how board is looking at it about having more women in the boards or in higher roles or management and all that, right? When we aspire for such roles, it's also important how prepared are we. I definitely know I have my deeper T. What about my broader T? Because depending on your aspirations, you definitely have to get there, and you have to understand. Not necessarily you have to be able to do and sit the assessment, PCI DSS or SOC 5, SOC 2, and then C5 and whatever. And then not necessarily you have to sit and do VAPT. For example, when people are providing you the results about some of the controls or about some of the missing aspects, some of the gaps, you should be able to understand at a bigger perspective. But definitely this is required as you're moving up the ladder. You don't have to be in a hurry to learn everything on one day, because that is not going to help anybody. At the same time, be it any field, right, we have to stay relevant. That's the mantra in every domain, and there's no exception. It's not man, woman, or security or machine learning or data sciences. Stay relevance is the mantra I have to say. And then stay curious. That is also really more important for us. And sometimes I also tell my teams, stay curious like a child, and then you don't have to shy away from asking questions when there is a new technology. At least personally, I just join with my early talents at my organization, and I try to understand what is this all about. Sometimes I also try to make my hands dirty and see how things work. I think that's the way going forward.
Okay. So, Divya, what do you feel? Like you really require multi-skills, or yes, staying relevant, absolutely it is required. What do you feel from your experience?
A couple of things, Chitra. First of all, what Archana said is absolutely true. In order to get into this field, irrespective of what gender you are, you need to have some key qualities. One is you need to have an investigative mindset. You need to be curious to learn more, and you need to be very adaptive to change, because change is something that again, wherever there is technology, there's going to be change, and like she rightly mentioned, it's at the blink of an eye. So, but the one thing which I also feel is, as much as you need to have a broad idea, and be in tune with what's changing and whatnot, you don't have to have in-depth knowledge. Exactly, a point that she touched upon. Also, technology is. Yeah, this very honestly, cybersecurity is a lot about technology. It is the technology that lets us do forensic analysis and whatnot. However, there is a lot of collaborative problem solving, and there's a lot of risk management practices as well. So it's not completely technological driven as a field. It has all of these components, and we can actually do pretty well in these components, very honestly speaking, because I think when I say we, I think women have that. There is a basic tendency to be extremely detail oriented. There's a basic tendency to be very investigative. I have some jokes in my mind, but probably not the right forum. But all of that, I think there is that inbuilt qualities that we already have that make us right for the field. And the fear that this is going to be constantly changing, everything is going to be constantly changing. I don't think any field can now very confidently say that it's never going to change. And you honestly don't want to be so outdated to be in such a field. So in my opinion, in a nutshell, it is a multi skill set scenario, but you don't have to know it all. You can just be in tune, educated, you can educate yourself, and just be aware of what's happening out there, and you'll be good.
Great to hear from you that it's women who really have the inquisitive nature. They really get into wonderful. Probably in a few years, the numbers will be upside down. Let's see.
Yeah. Let's see.
So, Archana, in SOC roles, what do you think? How do you happen? I mean, how do you use multi skills there?
Yeah. So I think, it's my turn to say that, okay, Divya touched on that point of we inquisitively having that skill set, because when we talk about SOC, right, I would say, SOC in itself is not as one man or one lady's show. Okay. We need a team of different skills. And that's what is a security operations center. So one would be forensic expert, one would be analyst, one would be investigators, one would be privacy. And we have to work with multiple different teams of security teams, right? So having a multi-skill is definitely needed. But, as to Sailaja added to that point, right? It depends on what stage of career you are in, right? If you look at today, probably at the executive level, if you talk today about the CISO's roles are changing, right? CISO is taking up a lot of responsibility. Earlier, budgeting was different. There was a different budget people. Now the CISO has to also plan the budget, which means he also needs upskilling on that in terms of, understanding of the roles. So CISO has to understand all the regulatory. CISO has to learn the compliance, right? So it is from high to level, so it's known now to everybody that we will have to somewhere, upskill ourselves, as to what Priya was also saying, right? We are moving into a very adaptive, very dynamic, because cyber threat is as such, hackers have been constantly changing. When we talk about the SOC, every single day, 30 seconds, we'll hear one hack. And we go back into the technique. What is a new technique? It's all stealthy. Something new they would be either using it. So how do we do in the SOC? We will have to upskill ourselves in terms of what are the technology, what is that, how do they enter the network. Remember, if we talk about the SOC 5 years, we just had SIM tool. I do not know if I think it's a familiar jargon. But then over period we started getting threat hunting concepts. All these jargons started emerging: threat hunting, then probably threat intelligence. So we ourselves had to keep upgrading and updating ourselves, otherwise we would be left alone. If we are not going to have the skills updated, probably you would be left alone still talking about the older technology, whereas massively the things have got changed in technology. So having multi-skill is always an advantage, but I think, as to Shailaja also added, first I would always say that first figure out what is your passion, because that's something the base that you should never forget it. If you really don't, if you're aspiring to become a CISO, then you have to draft your plan of 3 or 5 year down the roadmap of what is that skill I had to acquire it. If I want to become something an executive and I learn something irrelevant, staying relevant to the topic is more important. I think most of the comments which Shailaja and Divya has added, I just tried to summarize all of them. But inner to winner, inner within, I think you figure it out your passion and then work towards your role.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because multi-skill is not required from one person. It's going to be a team which is working, as you rightly put it, Archana. So I'm sure this session of ours is going to give a lot of motivation to people who really think that, oh my God, I'm not really skilled to this particular domain and things like that. Well, now I want to touch upon the oft-quoted topic when it comes to women: work-life balance. Because, I'm sure all of us agree that women have greater domestic responsibilities and they need to balance their life. But at the same time, yes, nothing should prevent women in taking a challenging career, be it cybersecurity, be it IT professional or whatever. So are women not taking to this profession because they have a perception of skewed work-life balance it could create? Because I know for a fact that some of the professionals who really work around the clock, whose time starts from 10 o'clock in the morning and sometimes till 5 a.m. In the next day morning. Yeah, this is what I've heard recently. Now, is work-life balance or difficulty in this, is it a deterrent to get into this particular domain? And more so, there are some stages in women like maternity, as one of you mentioned during our session, our other discussions, or some other domestic compulsions when women have to take a break. Are these being a deterrent factor? And how is work-life balance managed in this domain now? Archana.
Okay. So when it's interesting topic, Chitra, that you brought in. So when we talk about work life, I think we are all had enough of experience during this pandemic, right? Especially the initially, I think I also read the report. Probably when the pandemic was hit, lots of my colleagues who are ladies, they were all facing the challenges, and I think reports somewhere came after 6 months saying that ladies have been the most impacted. The women are more impacted because all of a sudden it changed our nightmares, that we had to manage our family, we had to manage children, because the children also went online to school.
Yeah.
So we had to sit down at the evening, make sure that they complete their homework, and on the other side we have our projects aligned. Our managers asking, when are you going to complete this task, when are you going to complete this task? So I think we were a little bit shaken up. That's honestly, I think we all, even I myself, had felt it, because being mother of a single son also, still I had to face up that as a challenge. But what is more important is, rather than saying this as a challenge, I think we will have to use this as a very positively. How can we make this as a win-win situation when we talk about the organization front, right? If you look at the organization front, it's definitely, this pandemic has been, a profitability in terms of, the travels have been less, the budgets have kind of, helped them in terms of, managing their profit, the profit curve or whatever it is. So I think, the most important step would be something an organization can look into this aspect of, giving flexibility to a lot of women's, so that, because you talked about, when we talk about SOC, at least we know it's a 24/7, because all around you have to be, right? So there are a lot of women who are also serving. So probably, the managers, whom you're reporting, right? So probably, speak up to managers saying that, you will have to be bold enough to saying that I could manage only to this to so and so 9 to 5 I can do it, or 9 to 2 I can do it. We will have to tell that, because I think it's important that I think everybody understands now the situation in a like we need to give that space for women's also too. So if be bold, I would just say this again, be bold to say because sometimes we as a women's, we sometimes we step back and say that if I'm going to say that, what my manager is going to think, probably he's going to stop my promotion, or he's going to stop because I was either over vocal to tell that. But I think people have to start understanding at the organization level. I think they have to bring in all these flexibility for the women, so that we can definitely help in this domain of how do we adapt it, and that's something will benefit and win-win situation for both of us.
That's wonderful. Yeah, so that women have got to be bold and also set their priorities right and balance.
Yeah. So probably if it should be enough to say, just to add that even if it's like 6 p.m., if our work job is 6 p.m., probably we can call up to our team members saying that hey, look, 6 p.m. after that is my family time. Right. So, I think that should be respected by all the, women's and even the male managers. So I think that mindset will start.
I think the situation is really improving.
Yeah.
People have started respecting the role women play both in profession as well as the home front.
Because I think work from home has become the norm, and I think
yes. Yes, Sailaja, anything you would like to share?
Yeah, Chitra. So, Archana has put it so well, about the pandemic situation and how it is really getting difficult, because now we all know there is no barrier between work and personal life or professional life, right? It's all integrated together. So we are all living in this integrated mode of work and life and balancing and all of that. For sure, there are so many interesting discussions happening on the chat, and people were all telling it's equally challenging for both men and women. Yes, we totally agree. But for sure, when it comes to women, right? For example, people wanted women to have all the crowns: best mom, best wife, best daughter, best daughter-in-law. Whereas from the society, there are a lot of huge expectations from the women, wherein this becomes really challenging and stressful at times. For example, in the pre-pandemic time, I have to travel a bit because of my existing role to several countries, sometimes once in a quarter or twice in a quarter or even thrice in a quarter. And then there were also a lot of eyes on me from the entire family. Why is she traveling like this, leaving her children and her husband and all of that? But trust me, is anybody questioning the same when the man is doing this, right? Because the expectations from the society are at a larger extent on the woman, like she has to play all the roles, she has to wear all the crowns. And when we want to achieve this work-life balance, right? Rightly mentioned by Archana, for sure, we need support from the managers and also from the family front, from the spouses, from in-laws, from parents, from whomever we are living with, right? For sure, we definitely need all of that support. And at the same time, it's okay to take a break because now, many organizations have come up with policies to welcome women back after work, and they're also helping them to reskill and all of that. Because at the same time, we all know, we have also discussed at length, tech is challenging, and then, it's going at quantum leaps, and we also have to keep the pace along with that, being curious and staying relevant and all of that. But at the same time, there are changes in women's life, right? Let me just call out some statistics here to all of us here. Of course, there are a lot of statistics that are being called out, but I would also like to talk about this, especially for women, right? India as a country, we are so proud and we are leading from the front when it respects to STEM educations, girls pursuing STEM careers. It is close to 46%, right? And when we translate all of those 46%, are all of them getting into their roles of getting into professional jobs or whatever? Unfortunately not. It's only 29%. And again, when we look into this mid-level, how many women are reaching out there? It's only 16%, because many of them has to go on break because they have children, or they have elderly parents or in-laws they have to take care and all of that. And again, if I have to deep dive a bit and look into how many of them are reaching into the board, because we are also talking about the glass ceilings and all of that, right? It's only 8% of women are in management, especially in India, and 5.8% into executive roles. And it's only 2% in the CEO roles and all of that. But having said that, yes, some of them are ambitious, some of them are having aspirations, but at the same time, the balance for the woman can be only achieved if there is an complete support from the organization, from the personal friend, from all of that. But again, it's her own choice, right? Sometimes even if you have a support, you would like to go and see your parents or your in-laws, they are really sick. You want to be next to them because that is more important, something more than your career and all of that. So I have to say, we have to be bold enough to follow our heart, because professions are important at times. But for women, we being so much emotionally attached to our families and relations, so we all need to respect. But at the same time, when they're coming back to work, right, they have to be welcomed, not like seen as outcasted because they're on a break and then they have come back. So there are a lot of changes that are required to be able to help women to get to that phase and all of that, for sure. But as I said, it was from person to person. So it's really important, because there is a saying, right? It takes a village to bring up a child. Similarly, if women are into careers, it takes the entire family and the society to understand the different phases that they undergo and to give them a supporting hand, for sure. But at least we don't want to be considered as minorities here, because we need additional support and help, because everybody has to understand women has a lot more better role as a mother, as a daughter and all to play when it comes to the personal aspects of it.
Yeah, as expected, I do see in the chat window that there are people who are sharing that when it comes to work-life balance, it's just the same for men and women and all that. Absolutely, we totally acknowledge that. But what we are here discussing is why there is a dearth of percentage of women in cybersecurity. That is why we are trying to see whether there are some different aspects for women, which is, being a deterrent to get into this particular field. Yes, Divya, what would you like to add on this, on the work-life balance?
What can I add, Chitra? It's all been covered. All I can talk is from a very personal experience, from my perspective. This aspect is where I feel women have to clearly have a voice. You have to clearly call out, and you have to also accept that you cannot be a perfectionist, and then you cannot be this perfect mom, this perfect wife, this perfect worker, this perfect. No, you need to call out, you need to voice out that I'm sorry, I have my flaws, and I can do this, and I can be great at this time, but then I will not do this, and I will not be great at the other thing at that time. And that's how I have been able to balance things out. For example, I've got two daughters, a 14-year-old and a 10-year-old. So both of them, I had both my kids when I was working. I came back after my maternity leave, took about half a month extra maybe to come back after each of them. And I got back into the field, but I was very clear that at that stage that they needed me, I still had to work for whatever reasons I needed to work, but I'm not going to be ambitious beyond this level. That was me calling out that, okay, you know what? This is going to be my limit. This is where I'm going to be at work, and I'm going to need this much time, because right now I'm taking the pedestal of being a good mom. And once I reached a level where I felt, okay, my kids are comfortable, I have enough support to ensure that they continue to be comfortable, then I came back saying that, okay, now I'm a mom, a good one, no doubt, but I'm not going to stand on that pedestal right now. Now I'm going to work at the work pedestal and come up where I need to come up and give my hours where I need to come up. My husband might say that probably at all these pedestals, the wife pedestal kind of took a dip, but that's okay. That's why we are married, because he understands what he's getting. So all of this, like I said, we accept our flaws. We accept that we are not superhuman all the time. And if we are going to accept that and be very vocal about that, I think you can do the work-life balance. For men also, you can do the work-life balance that way. Admit your weaknesses.
Yeah. End of the day, I personally feel that most men feel extremely proud about women who are able to balance both. We are able to do the official, walk the ladder, as well as, we are able to manage. So end of the day, I think that's what it is. And with the work from home concept also, I think the things are getting much better than what it was earlier. Okay, having discussed quite a few issues, quite a few pointers, quite a few things which says that these are the reasons why we have less women folk in this area. Now let's look, I would like to end it with a positive note. Let us see what is going to be, of course, whatever we are speaking right now also, we're all positive. But then in particular, I would like to see what is the actual solution to this problem? How could we improve this present scenario, bring in more women into it? Bring in more people. First of all, as we shared in the introductory itself, there is so much dearth of cybersecurity personnel. So bring in more people, particularly bring in more women, because today we're going to be a little focused on that. Being a mentor, I want Sailaja to take this question first.
Yeah, thank you, Chitra. As you rightly called out, right? What is the solution, or what is the best approach for this limited or very few women representing in the technology space or in the cybersecurity space? As you rightly quoted, right? First of all, it is really important for all of us to have mentors, and also early in our careers. And it's not necessarily we need to go for mentors who are women, but then in my career journey, I'm so fortunate enough to have so many male mentors, so many out there from my organization and also outside my organization, who has really helped me, who has handheld me when I really got stuck, or I have to decide at a junction, or it can be a technology, or it can be anything. So first of all, when we have someone hand-holding us, right, for example, it gives us a lot of support because I have a fallback option. I can always go and get it validated and all of that. And nowadays, with all the platforms, like we also have a mentorship platform. We also have, as part of the giving back to the society, we also have come up with women in cybersecurity and data privacy. And at the same time, it is really more important for all of us from the Indian perspective, right, to have more inclusive workplace also from the rural areas. Because I strongly believe the future of India is lying in the rural areas. Because there are so many students over there, so many girls and boys over there who, for sure, now they have some access to the niche technologies that are happening over there. Many of them are not even aware there is a profession called cybersecurity, and how to start, where to start, what is the roadmap. And most of the time, they always think like, okay, what is being shown on my offer letter, how much package I am getting, what is the company organization. We have to help them to shift from that to picking into the thing, into the organizations with respect to the kind of domains they are being picked up for. So we need a little bit of sensitization in that aspect with respect to the upcoming generations, and also especially to the rural areas where we all currently work with, talking from the Women in Cybersecurity and Data Privacy forum that we started for sure. And at the same time, all of us have 24 hours a day. We have to all use it wisely. And at the same time, now with all of this, if this was a physical session, all three of us or might have or we must be traveling to Chennai. But now we just have to sit wherever you want and you can stay connected, right? And also for the students, I encourage all of them to join on the networks like ISACA, like our forum. And there are so many forums over there where you get to network with people. Because early in my career, I have one of my manager who said, your network is going to be net worth. And most of the times women are really not so good at networking, right? And also people perceive networking is all about going for late evening dinners or parties or whatever, but networking is all about give and take, right? So it's all about sharing your experiences and then picking up from there and growing together as your friend or a colleague or a mentor or whatever it is. So this is something I would definitely like to add.
Thank you, Sailaja. That's of course very much is what I really expected from you, the kind of mentorship programs that's required. Yes, Archana?
Yeah, I think it's closely, Shailaja closely touched my thing, because I am also kind of mentor for her WISP organization, right? So I think just to bring out, the three essential things that I feel, which has also changed my way of thinking, one is definitely, I would like to begin with passion. Okay, so we will have to figure out what is your passion. Now, once we figure it out, a passion, second is we will have to create a lot of awareness. right? As Shailaja rightly said, there are a lot of rural people who doesn't even know there is a cybersecurity as a field and domain and things. So I think awareness of and give the visibility of what are roles. I started with my conversation saying that cybersecurity is usually thought as a techie kind of a field. Yes, technical is one aspect of being, but even if you're a non-technical, I say that there is an opening, because cybersecurity is one such beautiful domain where we have all the professions. Whether you want to be a project manager, there is a role. Whether you want to be a business manager, you have a role. We talk about AI. I think Priya was talking about AI and data analyst. I just had a 1 week conversation back, a young chap calling me and saying that, ma'am, I wanted to be a data scientist. Then I said, okay, fine, but I want to also be in cybersecurity. So I said, yes, security principles are not changing. It's just the technology is taking so rapid space. The products are, different, but you can apply the concept of data scientist in a security background. So that's the a small mindset that you will have to bring in as a security principle, and things are work well, fine, right? And I think, as Shailesh was telling, networking is very, very important, because as a women, we usually shy out. But then, when I started talking with Shailaja, Priya is one of my best mentor, and all of them, I started to listen. Okay, the stories are no different from my and them. So then I started to get confidence. Okay, so I'm not the only one who feel very emotionally, kind of saying that, I cannot do more, or probably I have to take up so much work and kind. So when we listen to the stories, I think that changes our mindset as a women. We get that confidence, and I think definitely being in a cybersecurity, you have to keep upskilling. I think you have to stay relevant, very important, because we often hear, if I still remember, when we were shifting to the cloud, so we're all were learning about the cloud security and things like that. But then other hand, we did find a lot of news about data breach happening in the cloud. And if you go back and see what was the net understanding of why the data breach happened, it's just because of a misconfiguration. Okay, so most of the ransomware, or whether it's a cloud technology, the security principles have not changed. We forget our basics at times. So I think we have to keep upskilling things and stay relevant. That's the thing I think we should be doing it.
The more I hear from both of you, and probably Divya also would be able to share a similar thing, so the more I'm able to relate to whatever you're saying. Like how I was so scared of getting into this domain of information security, and how I really had some mentors from ISACA Chennai Chapter. And, today, of course, whatever little that I am, I really owe it to quite a few of my mentors. And the kind of networking and how we try to, broad base our knowledge and try to understand a little more. Yes, Divya, what would you like to add on this?
Basically, exactly what everybody said in terms of mentorship and awareness of cybersecurity as a field. But apart from that, I personally, there is I believe that everything, when you're looking at a job or a field, there is a bit of PR work that comes in. Whether it's advertising about the job, or whether it's kind of enticing the a particular demographic to kind of take that up. I think for women, if you're focusing as the talk of this subject is after all women in cybersecurity. If you're going to look at that demography, you need to tell them some key things. One is that it's limitless. The field is so limitless that they can actually imagine what they want to do and slowly move into that with periodic study. So that is completely limitless, one. Secondly, the amount of opportunities that are out there, the kind of jobs that are going to come up a couple of years from now in the field of cybersecurity, it's going to give that much of flexibility in the work front. And another thing which I also want to say is there is a lot of importance for perception, with different perceptions, different ideas, and that is what women folk will bring into the field. So I feel a lot of PR work on this should be done from or is being done for sure, but also we need to constantly do it. It gives them financial freedom like no other as well. Not very many cybersecurity professionals are too worried about their job security during COVID. Say something about the field. So these are things that we need to highlight as well to make it more enticing for the next generation or the coming generations. Thank you.
So that brings us to the close of panel. Let me just check if there are any questions from the audience here. I do, there are quite a lot of comments in terms of saying, as I told you, men also have this problem and things like that. Quite understandable. In college, both boys and girls are not aware of this as a career. awareness is needed. I think we did share, the panelists did share this when they discussed about the awareness and the way forward and things like that. Are there any questions? We can take that. We have about 5 to 7 minutes for that. So as of now, I think, Bala, do you see any questions?
No, nothing pending at this moment. Sia, thank you.
So that is the, thank you, sir. Shankaran, one of my mentors again. He says, very well conducted and articulated. Congratulations to you and all the brilliant women out there. So I need to convey this to the brilliant women. Is there any specific course for upskilling in banking sector? This is one question. Sailaja, would you like to take this?
Yeah, actually, we have to say, as part of the special interest group from NASSCOM, right, that we are currently working on, we have done an intensive work. I think we are also going to present this sooner or later, kind of how a person in a banking can transition into cybersecurity as a domain, or, cybersecurity as a skill, as a career option for sure. And to quickly answer to the question, right, be it any technology, be it banking being the most regulated sector, right, it is really important. People can also focus on the audit aspects of it, the risk management aspects of it. And now India is also coming up with our own privacy bill. So data privacy is also becoming the center stage. Again, it depends from person to person. What would you like to choose? What is your passion, as we all mentioned? And then, because cybersecurity is one wonderful, field, as we all agree, where you can fit into anything. You can be an analyst, you can be a tester, you can be an auditor, you can be an expert, you can be a manager, and all of that. So according to your passion, you can always choose and pick which direction you would like to go. But being so stringently compliance related domain, so people can also focus on those compliance as a career as well. And nowadays, one more important factor I would like to add here is, nowadays there is a lot of people talking about cyber insurance, right? So, yeah. And even I think from RBI also, I'm not sure about that regulations, if they're mandating or not. So there are so many new streams that are coming up, and we have to keep watching out where we really fit in, how much knowledge we understand, and where to go from point A to point B. So this is what I would like to add here.
Yeah, thank you, Sailaja. And I think that answers the question. And there has been a lot of, appreciations to the panel. So thanks to all the three panel. There is one more question. Do you see any difference in women in police force vis-a-vis women in cybersecurity? Today, women in police force is not an issue. Many are forthcoming. Will the same happen to cybersecurity also? So
Natarajan, sir, yes, that is already happening, because as we see from the numbers that are being called out, right, we have already traversed from 11% to 24%. I think we are going to go there, and very soon, I think people will all be complaining. We are also kind of represented more, and men are represented less.
Yeah.
So no wonders we're going to go there sooner or later. And as we see, the numbers are growing higher and higher, and we wish this continues. And as people also pursue, and as Divya rightly mentioned, right, cybersecurity is becoming timeless, and this is also employable all the year, because during pandemic, many people have to leave their jobs, were forced to leave their jobs, and so on and so forth. But people who are working in this particular streams, we all are employable. So I think with all of that, having ahead of us, we believe, and even that is our wish on the panel, to see more and more young, brilliant Jains over here. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Shailita. Yeah, thank you so much. And that was very good. Somebody has asked if we can do from ISACA, if we can do something actively. I think we'll take these things offline. I would like to keep connected with the women out here. And now we close the panel discussion, and I hand over to Jayashree, the president of our chapter. Thank you. Yeah, yes, Jayashree. Jayashree, you're on mute.
Good evening, friends. It was really a very wonderful evening, and it was really very energetic and enthusiastic. Why not? Because the entire panel was comprising of women. So when women are there, there is a lot of energy. Well, I would like to just summarize what we had the session today. So first, Priya Madhavan, she spoke, she gave a roadmap of how the government is working on skilling and upskilling the country. Now, she spoke about the importance of digitization and the impact that it is going to create. The motto, think digital, think India. So, digitization will lead to certain complexity, and it is very important that we all stay, that the enterprises work with agility and speed to adapt these changes. Only then they can succeed. Then she stressed upon the importance of reskilling and upskilling with respect to the existing workforce, which is very, very important. And a very good news to our society, that is the IT auditors, where we have a very big role to play. But again, this also requires a lot of upskilling and reskilling with regard to the demands. And a very good news that about 24% of the women folks are in senior positions today. Coming to the panelists, yes, the panel discussion was very good and I enjoyed every bit of it. Maybe because I'm also a woman, so maybe that contributed to it, and I'm sure others also would have enjoyed it. So, the main points that was stressed upon us, the younger generations are to be motivated, including the children from rural areas. The roles in cybersecurity to be clearly defined and build a very good roadway. This will build in confidence among all the people and the students and the women, especially the women. And we need to upskill and have the knowledge and capability to carry out our work. Though there is a wrong perception that it's a woman's role, what it requires is just a bit of knowledge, confidence, and capability to carry out the work. And we must be ready to take up any challenge as a woman, whether it's a challenge in the official front or in the work front. We have to take the challenge as it is and have to prove ourselves and be confident enough to voice our opinion. Only then we can actually come forward. And networking and mentoring is very, very important. I complete this summarization with the word saying that stay relevant, stay curious, adapt to changes, and move ahead with head held high. Thank you, friends. Thank you very much. I thank on behalf of ISACA Chennai Chapter, Ms. Priya Madhavan, Sailaja, Archana, and Divya for the wonderful discussion. Chitra, it was a very good moderation that was done by you. I also thank Jamuna and team for this wonderful session. And last but not the least, thank you participants, without which this wouldn't have been a great success. Thank you very much. A very good night to all of you.